Okay, hi everyone, welcome to Practical English. Today I'm going to be talking about one really common error in the IELTS exam, which is keeping things too simple and not really stretching yourself or pushing to show off how much you know about English to your examiner. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why this is a mistake, why people make this mistake, and some of the steps you can take very quickly to fix this in the future. So if this is your first time on the channel, welcome to Practical English. We're going to be sharing new videos every single week that can help you with your IELTS, with your conversation or just general speaking, and also we'll be sharing a lot of videos about listening skills on this channel as well. So if that's useful for you, please do like, subscribe and hit the bell down below, and check out some of the links in our description where you can find some other information and some other articles and things. So first off, why is this a mistake? Well, the reason why this is a mistake is whenever you're writing anything, not just your IELTS exam, anything you have to write, you really have to be thinking about who am I writing for and what is that person looking for. Now in the IELTS exam, you can have a look at the grading criteria and you'll see that they are looking for certain things. Now in this video, I'm mostly going to be talking about grammar, okay? And grammar is a place where you can really stretch yourself and really show off your English skills. And that's what your examiners are looking for you to do. So when you're looking at your IELTS grading criteria, one of the things you'll notice is that even if your grammar is perfect throughout your writing, you won't necessarily get a grade higher than a 4 or a 5 unless you're also showing off a large range of complex sentences. So if you don't try different things and you just keep everything very simple, then it's actually much harder to get a higher grade. If you try and use these complex grammar and you don't always succeed with it, that doesn't matter so much. You can still get a really high grade if you're trying to use this complex grammar without really getting it perfect every single time you do. So I think there are two main reasons why people make this mistake. The first one is just nerves, and I've said this before on this channel, and I'll probably say this again on the channel, but the IELTS is a really scary exam. When you take this exam, the two big reasons why people take it are either to apply for a university or to apply for a visa. And both of these are really big things. And if you mess up in the exam, that can be a really impactful thing for your life, right? You might not get the visa you want, or you might not get the university place you want to get, and you might, in other circumstances, be able to get those things. So it's quite a high stakes test in a lot of ways. So it's very natural to feel nervous when you're about to go into this test, right? And when you do feel nervous, one of the things you can do is just keep things very simple, not venture out too far, not try things, which is very sensible in a normal situation, right? But in the IELTS test, what you really want to be doing is showing off to your examiner all of the skills you have and taking some risks with your grammar and not keeping things too simple. And I think the second reason for this is people just don't know all of the different types of grammar they can go into the exam and use, right? And one thing you can do about that is to, in your head, make a plan of some of the different types of grammar, some of the complex structures you want to use when you go into in your exam. Now, obviously, you don't know what the question is before you go in, but there are some complex grammar structures that you can basically use in any question. You can always try and squeeze these in there because they're pretty applicable in a wide range of situations. And so there are some other complex structures that you can maybe use once or twice, but in this video we're going to focus on 3 really common ones that are useful in almost any exam question you might come across in your IELTS writing exam. Okay, so in English, there are so many ways you can spice up your grammar and add those extra bits of complexity that your examiner is looking for. Today we're going to talk about 3 of those. The first one is using if sentences, the second one is using although or while, and the third one is called an appositive, which you probably don't know that name, but you must have seen them in real English sentences. Okay, so the first way of adding complexity to a sentence we're going to look at is if sentences. And I think everyone's quite familiar with these, but they don't realize how versatile they are for the IELTS exam. And so actually, I think you can probably squeeze one of these into every paragraph you write in the IELTS if you really wanted to. Maybe one an essay is also a good number to aim for. But this is something you should be definitely thinking about because I think it's almost always relevant. And I think one of the easiest ways to think about these is to think, okay, if people want to, whatever it is, there must be something people want in your IELTS essay. They're usually about people or people's desires or achieving some kind of goal. So I think if people want to X, whatever X is, then they should Y. And this kind of structure is really, really flexible. You can use it in almost all your essays, and it's really going to help you add a little bit of complexity to your IELTS writing test. The second way of adding more complexity to your writing is to use although or while, and these basically have the same meaning. And what that is that you're talking about two ideas that shouldn't really go together, but do go together. So it's a little bit similar to but, except you use it at the start of the sentence. So for example, if you say, while London is the UK's largest city, it has lots of green space. So the reason you're using although or while in that situation is that being a large city and having lots of green space are two ideas that don't usually go together. So we use although or while to kind of express that there's a contrast between those two things. And so if you want to make a sentence like this, it's really easy. It's just although or while, and then the first idea, a comma, and the second idea. So very, very easy to make. The final one of these is called an appositive. An appositive is basically extra information you're adding into your sentence that isn't essential for the meaning of the sentence. And so there's two things to remember here. The first one is that it is information that doesn't have to be in the sentence. So an example of this might be, you could say, London, comma, the UK's largest city, comma, is known for having lots of green space. And so in this sentence, saying the UK's largest city isn't essential to the meaning of the sentence, right? You could say London has lots of green space, or London is known for having lots of green space, and it makes just as much sense with the extra information as without the extra information. So that's the first thing to remember. If you can take the appositive out and the sentence still makes sense, you've done it right. The second thing is we put a comma at the beginning and the end of the extra information. Now, the exception to this is if the information is going at the end of the sentence. If I say, this weekend I'm going to London, comma, the UK's largest city, I don't need to put an extra comma before the full stop at the end of that sentence, because that would look very strange. But aside from that, if the information is going in the middle of the sentence, comma at the beginning and the end. If the information is going at the end of the sentence, just a comma before your extra information. And so yeah, appositives are really, really easy to put together, and I think they really impress examiners. I think this is one that looks very complex, but it's actually quite easy to put together. So that's something we're always going to be looking for. And you can basically use these in any sentence because you can just add some extra information about almost anything. So this is one of the most versatile, flexible things you can do to add some complexity to your IELTS writing. So I always tell my students, try and include an appositive in every essay. Okay, so if this video was useful to you, like and hit subscribe down below. Check out www.practicalenglish.school and check us out on Twitter. Links are in the bio.